Hello, it's me Kumaitila Kositsile, and I'm happy once again to take you through the budgeting module of Personal Finance Mastery. This module is really applicable to everyone who is a money spender. If you know yourself as a money spender, then you need to pay very attention to this module because it's important. It can help you to take charge of your finances. So the first question that I want to throw out there to you is, wow, what do you think when you hear the word budget? What comes to your mind first when you hear the word budget? I'm just going to give you a few seconds to reflect on that. Wow. Whatever you are thinking, in there lies your money beliefs. Whatever you are thinking, if you are thinking budgeting is restrictive, if you are thinking budgeting is boring, budgeting encourages frugality, budgeting, you cannot budget because you're not good at math, if you think that you cannot budget because you don't have enough money, there is your money belief, and that is something that is limiting you. I'm here to tell you that budgeting is for everyone. But first, let's understand what budgeting is. What is budgeting? When you budget, what you're doing is you are laying out a plan of how you want to use your money over a period of time. I want you to underline the word want, or how you want to intend to use your money over a period of time. So budgeting is something that you do intentionally. You are intentional about your money, and you are sitting down, you're commanding your money. You are telling it, this is where I want you to go, this is where I want you to go, and this is where I don't want you to go. That is the best way of you taking control of your finances. And I say that there are only 4 things that we can do with our money, like 4 broad category of things that we can do with our money. We can save our money, we can spend our money, we can invest our money, and we can give our money. Therefore, how are we going to make sure that we allocate money across these 4 main categories of what we can do with our money? Only through budgeting. This is when you are going to sit down and start allocating money towards all these 4 main categories of what we can do with our money. But how then do I budget? You haven't been budgeting, you've never come across budgeting. More so that even where we are coming from, we've never really had like discussions about money. Money was a taboo. We never sat at a dinner table and had a conversation about money. So how do I then start budgeting? Let me take you through the steps of making a simple budget. I always want to emphasize the word simple because I believe that money is very simple. Therefore, we need to simplify the question, because once we complicate it, money, we're overwhelmed by emotions when we see money. So we don't want to throw any other thing in there that is just going to make this thing very complicated. So pay attention, the steps of how you should budget. The first step is your income. You need to know your income. What are your income sources? Where do you get your money? If it's from a salary and maybe you've got side hustles, you need to pull all these resources together. Know your income. Once you have your total income, you have to sit down and start categorizing your spending. You're gonna have to come with your own unique categories. I always say that, you know what, budgeting is not cast in stone. Nobody is going to come to you and tell you, okay, do this category, do this category. It's unique. We're all unique. We've got all different needs and wants. So sit down and categorize your spending. Once you have categorized your spending, you're gonna move to the next step, which is now allocating money towards these different categories that you have created. How much am I allocating to this one? How much am I allocating to this one? You allocate your money, and once you've allocated your money, you've pretty much done your budget. But I say that the journey doesn't just stop with you creating the budget, because everyone can create a budget. Creating a budget is very simple. What is very important is, will you stick to the budget? Will you respect every part of your budget? And how then do you make sure that you do that? It requires a lot of discipline. We can all write it and then put it aside and then go and do something totally different. Discipline is something that is going to help you to stay or to respect your budget. How do you then develop this discipline? You're going to develop this discipline by start doing very mundane things. Some of the things are really tedious because people don't want to do simple administrative things, but I say is those simple things things that are going to help you. You're gonna have to start tracking your spending. There is no any other way. Once you've allocated money towards a category, you have to track it. You're gonna have to track it, more especially if it's for variable expenses. And let me just explain something there. As we allocate our money towards different spending categories, we need to understand that we've got two main groups of expenses. We have what we call fixed expenses and we have what we call variable expenses. So your fixed expenses, these are once-off things like your DSTV subscription, your loan payments. You know they go once in a month and then you are done with them, so you don't have to worry about, okay, it's coming again next week. But we do have what we call variable categories of variable expenses, things like your groceries, things like your fuel expenses, things like what? Any other thing that you can think of that you are not spending once off, and that is where you are losing money. And these are the things that you need to pay attention on. You have to make sure that once you've allocated money towards, let's say, groceries, because I find that a lot of people struggle with managing the money allocated for groceries. That is where you need to track. If you've allocated 3,000, how do you make sure that you spend 3,000? You track every week. Every time you go and spend money on your grocery items, you come and track it against what you have allocated. That's the one way of making sure that you stay disciplined and you respect your budget. And I always like to say that, you know, tracking is going to reveal a lot of things for you. It's also helping you to stay in tune with your budget, stay very close to your budget, and also stay very close to the changing circumstances, because we know that circumstances change. So your budget is not going to be fixed. It's going to move as things around you move. Like we've seen that in recent days, we've been grappling with a lot of inflation. Has been very high. We've been grappling with food prices. So one day you go, you buy cooking oil, the next day cooking oil is this much. So those are the moving parts that are going to affect your your variable expenses. How do you then ensure that you stay close to your budget? Tracking. Even if it's tedious, even if it's boring, it's the boring stuff that is going to liberate you when it comes to your money. So these are the simple steps that we have to take for you to be a budgeter. And I always like to remind you that, you know what, there's so many ways of budgeting in terms of allocating your money. I'm not prescriptive in terms of what you can do, because I understand that we're all unique. Do what works for you. And my closing remark, I'm going to remind you that a good budget will help you to pay right now for your needs while you set money aside for your wants. You also need to start differentiating between the two, needs and wants, and then your budget will work for you. So this is all that I wanted to share with you when it comes to your budgeting. Hope is clear enough, and hope the steps are clear enough for you to start taking action today. Thank you very much. I will see you in another module.